I know Valentine's Day has come and gone, but you probably weren't thinking about onions on that day. But actually, Valentine's Day is a great time to start thinking about planting onions in your garden. You'll see onion sets, which are basically bundles of onions starting to appear at your local nurseries and hardware stores. And they come as dried onions like this. And just for the cost of about one onion that you would buy in the store, you can get the potential for several onions to eat all season long. Now this is just half of a bundle, and what this is called is an onion set. And so you can, when you buy them, you want to look for one that is as least dehydrated as possible. You can see there's some green on it, but they're starting to dry out and the roots are all dried out. Now this is okay to still purchase, depending on how long they've been in the store and how late you're planting them. Of course, they will look a little bit more dehydrated. When you buy them and you get them home, you want to make sure to go ahead and soak them in some water. You can see here we've soaked ours for a few days, and they've already started to rehydrate the roots and are even growing some new green tissue above, stem tissue. Now, onions are very simple to plant. Basically, we're going to pull these apart and we're going to plant each one about 4 inches apart and about an inch down. You want to go kind of where you start to see the flare come out. So about an inch down, make sure this is all nice and covered. And as long as you get them in the ground between mid-February to mid-March, you'll start harvesting these about the beginning of summertime, because really they're based off of the day length. Now, these are very small onions, as you can see, but they're going to grow into the large onions that you would eat. And we've got a couple of varieties here. We've got some Spanish white, some Texas sweet, and then also some red onions. So you want to make sure that you've labeled them, because they can be hard to differentiate once they get into the garden. Onions are heavy nitrogen feeders, and a lot of times we think of our vegetables needing more phosphorus, but usually that's because we're after the flower and the fruit that it produces. Onions are different. We're actually after the bulb. So we've got our planting bed prepped here. We are in our Keyhole garden and it's continuing to break down. We've removed any large debris on top, and what we're going to do is top dress with a little Urea Fertilizer. And basically, this will just be incorporated as we dig in those onions. The reason why we're using urea is because it's heavy in nitrogen, obviously. And you might think that a lot of times you want phosphorus. A lot of times when you're growing vegetables, you want that flower and you want the fruit. But with onions, we're after the bulb. The bulb is actually stem tissue. Just like you put nitrogen on your turf grass in order to get more vegetative growth, we'll put nitrogen on our onions to also get more vegetative growth. Every leaf that an onion produces goes to make another ring in the onion. Therefore, more leaves means a larger onion bulb. So now that we have our onions hydrated, it's just time to start planting. And we're going to plant these about 4 inches apart and about an inch deep, just enough to get those roots covered and giving them enough room to really bulb up in between each one of them. And so as we're doing this, that nitrogen, that urea nitrogen that we sprinkled on top, is getting incorporated into the root zone. You always want to make sure to label your onions so you know which variety is which. And it's kind of fun to get a couple of different onion sets to try the different flavors of the different onions. Now I know you can see here we planted just half of the onion sets that we purchased, and this is 3 different varieties. So you get a lot of onions, and it's relatively cheap to get the onion sets. So a little tip is to go in with a neighbor and maybe share the bundle so that it stretches each of your dollar a little bit further. Next, we just need to water this in and watch them grow.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.